Multiplayer is dying. Now stop comments. I know, just let me explain. Before games like Fortnite, Dota 2, Warzone, really anything that had a battle pass, there were games that the true experience was literally just playing the game. What I mean is most AAA developed multiplayer games nowadays, it feels kind of like a chore to play. Warzone is a great example where they have a new meta or the best gun in the game that drops, right? Then you figure that out and you start to level up the gun in the new release game. This case, Vanguard just came out for Call of Duty. So you go into Vanguard, you pay $60 for that game, you level up the gun, you go into Warzone, you then try to use it, and next thing you know, the meta changes. Now, I know you can level the gun up outside of Vanguard, you can do it inside Warzone, but the most efficient way possible is definitely in Vanguard. So all that time that you spent to level that gun up is just wasted. Now take some competitive games like Rainbow Six Siege. If you stop playing for a week, you fall behind dramatically in the competitive edge. Like, I know if I take a week off of, certain games that, like Warzone, for example, or even when I went back into Rainbow Six Siege, I felt so lost just taking a very small amount of time off. Things feel foreign. It's crazy how quick that can happen. And for variety or more casual gamers, that's got to be so tough. I know I'm a variety gamer, and it's tough for me to be able to, I don't do 40 hours a week playing one game consistently. For the casual gamer or the variety gamer, maybe 10 hours per week is all you have to play. And how are you able to stay competitive in that and feel like you're going to be having an enjoyable time doing that if that's the consistent player base that you're going against? So how did we get to this point in gaming? So I want to take you back to when I first started gaming. I started playing games like Command & Conquer Renegade, Delta Force, Rainbow Six, the Ghost Recon's, Operation Flashpoint, Age of Empires 2. I was a big PC gamer when I was growing up. And I played a lot of, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, all that stuff, whatever. I've talked about this endlessly on other videos. All these games had something in common. And you bought that game, and for the most part, the time that the game was released, people experienced this idea of this game or this particular franchise for the very first time, or maybe the second time, maybe a second series. It was fresh. It had a lot of life because there wasn't a single thing to base it off of. You see, we base all of our gaming off of other experiences that we've had in gaming. There isn't a single argument I hear when you talk about Call of Duty where Battlefield doesn't get brought up, or Battlefield is talked about and Call of Duty doesn't get brought up, especially right now with 2042. Two FPS giants, it makes sense. However, we base the experiences we have off of one another, and that is why multiplayer is dying. The development of newer AAA games doesn't feel fresh because we have been overstimulated with so much of what is to be expected of games now. Battle passes, season updates, new attachments, new maps, new weapons, new skins, new everything. Indie developed games then suffer on the back end because of this overstimuli. The lack of content released. With most early access indie games fall off dramatically due to our craving for wanting more. Indie developers can't even keep up because they don't have the same size team as a AAA developed studio. And they pump out content, regularly cyclical seasons. I see people coming into my chat when I'm streaming and they say, hey, I need a new game. Insert game title here got boring when the insert game title here was literally an indie early access game that just came out like a week ago. Again, how did we get here?
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money
is definitely a driving force. Definitely a driving force for these companies. It's simple. Take a look at what Battlefield used to do with their premium passes. You pay $100 to $120 for the entire Battlefield experience, or you buy the base game and then you pay $50 for that premium pass. That's what we saw for a lot of Battlefield titles. New content that would come out in bulk across that entire 2-year franchise, or that 2-year game that was out. You could buy into it if you wanted to, right? Rather than buying each individual DLC, they offered this as an option, which was great. Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Borderlands, you name the game, like a couple of years ago, a lot of people were doing season passes consistently, and we're starting to see that break up a little bit, but some games are still doing season passes like Assassin's Creed. But to buy in is kind of daunting when you look at it from a consumer perspective. If someone's looking at, how do I experience the entirety of this game? I'm gonna have to pay $100 to $120 to do that. That's kind of a lot to ask of somebody versus the $50, $60 price tag on the base game, right? So I think that's why the movement towards free-to-play multiplayer happened, because a lot of different things, which we'll get into. But I have to say, as far as free-to-play goes, and as far as, this battle pass idea, you have to credit Fortnite for popularizing it and mainstreaming it. Dota 2, I know it had a battle pass, but what put the battle royales and the battle pass on the map was truly Fortnite, It showed to many developers that free-to-play multiplayer was a great way to get people into your game, show them the cosmetics that other people were buying, push them to want to buy those too, and buy in on the battle pass. to give them a reason to grind the game, to give them a reason to continue playing it. You know, battle passes are a great way for companies to make money. It's no surprise. Look at what Call of Duty Warzone did. $1.93 billion in revenue in 2020. Now, I know that was during a pandemic. A lot of people were home and were playing Warzone, but think about that. Rather than a larger price tag of $50 for a premium pass, you can get a battle pass. You know, it's like $10, which is almost all cosmetic depending on the game, and you level it up as you go. You can buy in-game store items from anywhere from $5 to $25, and most of them are skins. How the guns look, how you look. Having people spend money on smaller items rather than spending a huge chunk, $50, $60 on something, it's a lot easier to sell. And the show is based on the money that they've made from all these AAA giants, right? So this push for wanting to make as much money as possible, I think it's put a lot of things on the back burner, such as gameplay, which we've seen. You know, perception versus reality also shines through on this as well. Regardless of what the actual answer is, it doesn't matter what the reality is, the perception will always supersede the reality. AAA have realized how many people will buy their game regardless of how it plays. You know, it has the title in it. It has Battlefield. It has Call of Duty. It doesn't matter. People are going to buy it because of the name. Does this mean people are going to stick around in the masses, though? No. Battlefield 2042 is a prime example of that. However, when a game releases and it still feels unfinished, it is because we are the beta testers, man. Even if the developers are testing their games, the finished product as of late has not felt finished. And we, the consumer, are left to find the issues in the game for them to fix. You know, I think Halo Infinite is probably one of the few games that actually took a realistic approach at their 3-game mode game and roadmapped it properly, in my opinion. No co-op campaign or forge right off the rip. We're telling you right now, but we're gonna give you campaign and multiplayer. I think most gamers are comfortable with a finished product rather than a horribly rushed product just to say they have all of the features of the previous games that they've had or that they've been advertising, just so that the people that invested in their game feel comfortable with it and that they aren't gonna lose money. Again, goes back to money. Now, I know an argument that's gonna come up is, all right, you're talking about all this stuff, right? The games are supposed to be fun. That's why we play games. They're made to be fun. I get that. Yes, gaming is meant to be fun, right? Of course it is. But I truly believe that a vast majority of gamers that are playing multiplayer games will look at a game like Insurgency Sandstorm and ask, why isn't there any leveling? Why are there no attachments that I have to level up? Why is there no battle pass to grind? What is the point of me playing the game? Again, we've been overstimulated from so many different games, and what the regular agenda of what these games are for pushing content, for giving us things to grind towards, has changed our perception on what games are expected to have now. Now, don't get me wrong, dude. I love Sandstorm. I love it. But look at the total player base on Sandstorm, which I know it's an indie developed game. They may not have the same infrastructure to push advertising the game, but it's very significantly less number of people that are playing that game compared to your Giants, your Call of Duties, and your Battlefields. So what's the future? You know, are we stuck with AAA developers creating multiplayer games that are just running battle passes, that are running these things? You know, I think we are. And because of this, it is going to cause indie developers, I think, to be the standard of change. You know, the hardest part is, again, their lack of people, resources, and time to create something that is the size of a AAA developed game. You know, the gaming appetite for what is wanted nowadays is so high that we perpetuate this cycle. We just keep it going. Valheim is an almost perfect example of this. You know, the game fell off very rapidly because the content wasn't there. Now, granted, if you played the game and you grinded it, dude, there's a lot there. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of friends that put so much time into it. There's a lot there. But what I'm getting at is the lack of content that people are seeing for face value. Does this mean the game isn't successful? Not at all. The game was incredibly successful and they're still updating it. But that appetite that gamers have for what the standard is now is so high that it's hard for the games that have these smaller updates that are typically in an indie developed game that isn't comparative to the cyclical nature of these AAA developed games. So I think us, as consumers, are a big part of the problem. You know, I believe that in the future, what is going to happen as well, taking a look at what could happen, single player. I think single player is going to lead the charge moving forward, to be honest. I think the disassociation of development not listening to the player base, broken games on launch, an overall frustrated group of gamers who don't want to continuously try and keep up with the community that is playing that game is going to lead that. You know, we've seen an emphasis Sony put on single player experiences as well. I mean, look at Uncharted, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, all focused on single player, and they're great successes. I believe this is going to be the way forward and moving forward for many gamers, but not for all. You know, so what is the future of games as well? I mean, we're seeing NFTs kind of work their way in right now. You know, NFTs, are they going to be written in games that they're only perceived as rare items because the developers are making them to be rare, and the developers are the ones who create the sense that this is what it truly is worth? You know, a community will need to collect 10,000 NFTs to unlock the next part of the map. The developers are the ones who truly try to sell this idea of the NFTs in a game so they can make the most money, right? That's the idea here. It's the next get-rich-quick scheme, in my opinion. That you could jump on board just like when Bitcoin was in its infancy. You know, get rich quick. This is, NFTs are basically Bitcoin before Bitcoin blew up. Get in now and you'll be rich. I know there's more to it, don't get me wrong. And there are a lot of things that NFTs can do in the future, but as far as in gaming right now, I just don't see the developers looking out for the consumers right now. Because we've seen them, perfect example, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Microtransactions to the max just to be a pay-to-win game that you already paid $60 for. That stuff is going to make its way into gaming as well with NFTs. I guarantee it. Now listen, I love gaming. I love the feeling of playing games, and I love the friendships and community that come from parts of gaming. However, I believe we truly seeing the death of multiplayer as we knew it. And we can only speculate what the future holds. And some of my thoughts here is exactly why I think multiplayer is dying. You know, we are perpetuating this cycle. We are overstimulated with so many different things in games. Now, does that mean that I don't enjoy going in and playing games like Ready or Not that don't have battle passes or leveling up or anything? No. But I have to tell you straight up, it feels weird when I go into that game and I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I just finished the missions. What do I do now? I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on this. Do you think multiplayer is dying? Do you think single player is going to be the future? And that's the fun part of this conversation, is having this conversation and seeing what, you know, the community thinks. Overall, it's frustrating because I was so excited for games like Battlefield 2042, and it was a freaking nightmare coming out. I wanted to like the game. I did. I wanted to like the multiplayer. I just didn't enjoy it. I liked Hazard Zone, don't get me wrong, but there wasn't enough to keep me in there. And Portal is a great idea. There's not enough there to hold me. I'd really like to hear everybody's thoughts on this though. I appreciate you all. Take it easy, take care, stay safe out there. We're streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Central Time over on twitch.tv/SergeantMadmax. Be sure to check that out. Otherwise, be sure to smash that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. I truly appreciate you all. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
I got the shivers.